very few mirror matches, but on the same note, the mirror matches we will have should be really good ones, and it looks like we're going to have a series of unique matchups. You don't always see as much these ever in the past, but in the last couple months, you started to see more of them, but I think we're going to see some great unique matchups tonight.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the only possible mirror matchup here is Shaman versus Shaman, which can go either way, but it may not happen at all. We may not have that show up, and I'm just really excited to see this kind of variety. I mean, Paladin's a deck that we don't see that much outside of tournaments, so it'll be fun to see exactly how it shapes up, how it's used as a counter. There could potentially be that warrior to counter the Freeze Mage. I'm not sure which variety Powder is running, but if it is Freeze Mage, then that will definitely be in Varranis' strategy, where he doesn't necessarily want to play his Shaman or his Warlock into that matchup, and wants to just get a counter as quickly as possible. Right now we're going to open up with Shaman versus Warlock, and it will be that handlock variety.
Yeah, and we have Powder with the Shaman here, and Varranis with the Warlock in our best of 7, and I think... Whoa, okay.
The insta-conceit like, Varranis. Nah, he's just adjusted his options.
All right, so yeah, we'll talk a little about this matchup as we get into game number 1 here.
Shaman is typically one of the biggest counters to Handlock because of the ability of Earthshock to immediately take out a Twilight Drake. It kills it more efficiently than any other card in the game. And, of course, the ability for Hex to take down those giants to a measly little frog. And as long as Shaman draws those cards, they're usually pretty good in this matchup. They also tend to have the bursts with things like Alakir or Doomhammer and Rockbiter Weapon. We already saw the Alakir, which he did mulligan back, of course, but that amount of burst could definitely be outside of Warlock's comfort zone and allow them to go in past those large taunts with something like an Earthshock in one turn of large burst.
Yeah, here, guys. Got a little thing I need to fix up here.
And so with a pretty nice start early on of an Unbound Elemental, he's going to be able to start building up his board just a bit. He does have to figure out a way to take down this Twilight Drake, and he doesn't have an Earthshock yet. Now, he doesn't want to use the Hex either, so I wouldn't be surprised to see even the Flame Tongue Totem just trying to trade on soon. Oh, but with the draw of the Feral Spirits, though, he's going to likely play those. And there it is, just to keep his board safe. They will die easily to the Twilight Drake, but it does take up the Twilight Drake for the next couple of turns while he looks for a better solution.
I'm just joining you here. I was hearing about what you were saying, but I was trying to work on those overlays.
Oh, yes, of
God,
course.
the Drakes without the Earth Shocks. Yeah, I see what we're up against here. Yeah, traditionally in this matchup, using a Hex on a Drake is incredibly painful because you want to save them for your Giants. And as you've noted, there are ways to clear these Drakes with a potential Flame Tongue Totem, but it's going to take a lot of resources, and that's incredibly painful for the Shaman. He does rely on getting an advantage in the early game in order to prevent Jiraxis from coming out, because if the Handlock slows you down enough, what ends up happening is you don't get the burst down to kill them, and in that case Jiraxis ends up coming down, and you've already kind of expended a lot of your resources, and you're in a really bad spot. This is where Warlock can take the advantage over what is traditionally a Shaman advantage.
That's very true. Typically we're going to see Shaman trying to control the board and end the game around turn 7 to 9 is when they're able to close it out. And if they can't end it by then like you said, we might have big Molten Giant plays along with Lord Jiraxis to heal himself back up. Yep. He does have the double Sludge Belcher to try and keep off some of that pain. The Sludge Belcher are really nice because they're unlikely to be Earthshock or Hex, since those cards are so much more useful on Warlock's other minions. But I mean, if he's able to keep up this amount of pressure and remove these Twilight Drakes, then he should be in a pretty good spot. It actually looks like we're going to see this Unbound Elemental used to take out the Drake along with the other totems and the Spirit Wolf, so that he is able to clear the board and leave himself particularly vulnerable, but I guess he's hoping there's no Mortal Coil, because that could absolutely be devastating on this Unbound Elemental. Yeah,
and that would be the worst play here for him, but bringing down a Belcher isn't that bad. He did get the value he needed. The question is, will this get Soulfired? It looks like it probably will be. So he's going to Soulfire the Mana Tide Totem, the Flame Tongue Totem, excuse me, just to basically make the Unbound Elemental significantly weaker, and any future minions, maybe a potential additional Ferric Spirit, or what have you, come down. We see a Doomhammer now in the hand, and one thing to note is that Powder is playing one Doomhammer. This isn't a double Doomhammer deck, but he is running, in lieu of a second Doomhammer, a Black Knight, which is a fantastic card in this matchup. Ooh, we're going to see that Soul Siphon down on that 6/5 Fire Elemental, which is really nice. And as I was mentioning, with that in this matchup, that will help the Shaman a little bit.
Yeah, that's very true. This Doomhammer is going to help, of course, clear off the little minions, but mostly push through for damage onto your opponent's face. I mean, overall, the weapon is 16 damage, plus whatever you get from a Rockbiter. Each Rockbiter is an additional 3. Or is additional 6, sorry.
Yeah.
And so that can definitely end the game quickly. However, both these Sludge Belchers are really helping Varranis stay in the game here, and he's been able to stabilize pretty well. He's at 24 health, and as we can see, this hand is looking fairly reactive. He does have the Azure Drake to cycle through a little bit, but overall, there's not a lot to Lightning Storm. There's not a lot of minions on the board to throw out that Flame Tongue, and he doesn't want to Hex until there's a Giant, which actually could be coming out here from Varranis if you were looking to tap and Mountain Giant.
Yeah, if it might come out. It's really important, though, that Drake did come down, because what Powder is weak on right now was cards. And so he got an additional card with a minion on the board. He had a start that didn't allow him to simply Earthshock a bunch of Drakes, one for one. He had to use a significant number of minions, spells, as well as Flame Tongue Totem. So he's getting back into this game, and he didn't have to use that Hex. So we're going to have a very powerful potential Lightning Storm here. It would cost all 8 mana, but the other way to do this would be a Flame Tongue Totem down, and potentially a Defender of Argus. It's not as good, but that will not use up all of his mana, which Lotheb is ensuring with 5 additional mana here.
Ooh, he rolls the Spell Power Totem,
Yeah.
which would have been real nice if he
Yeah.
could have done the Lightning Storm. That would have been absolutely tremendous. In this case, he would have been hoping for the Healing Totem just to get a little bit more bulk back on that Azure Drake.
Yeah.
What would have been really cool, I think, from Varranis is if he would have held on to that Loetheb and just tapped. The turn after, he could have played a Mountain Giant and Loetheb, which would have kept his Mountain Giant safe. However, he's taking a safer approach by getting these minions out now. He then has the potential to Shadow Flame this Watcher, which I think seems like a pretty good deal for him.
Yeah, he could also Hellfire, which is also a fantastic deal for him. It destroys everything on the Shaman side of the board, which is brutal, but the Shadow Flame is a nice card with that Watcher out, so there it comes.
Yeah, it also, if you Hellfire, it puts both of your minions into range of the Doomhammer, and of course it takes 3 health off yourself, which you know against this type of Shaman might not be enough. Right now, with the Rockbiter weapon and Doomhammer, you've got 10 damage there. Another Rockbiter weapon makes it 16 damage in 1 turn.
He already used 1 Rockbiter earlier this game.
Of course, he's on the Unbound
So he's
element.
got 16 damage here, plus 4 from the Flame Tongue, so he has 20 damage in hand if a Taunter doesn't come down. And you could also, by the way, Hex something. Kill the Hexed minion with the 2 attack from the Flame Tongue on the totem, on the Wrath of Air totem, allowing for 18 damage, which also would kill. So if 1 minion comes down with a taunt, that's game over. If the Fire Alley doesn't go away. So it's a very tricky spot here. But one Rockbiter being used usually makes the Warlock feel a little bit safer, but he isn't in this case. So let's see how Varranis chooses to deal with it. Draws a Siphon Soul, which actually might be the best possible card he could draw here. Period. End of discussion.
I agree. He could have thrown down 1 minion and taunted it. I think he could have gone for the taunt play if he had low enough health for the Molten Giant, but only having 1 taunt isn't nearly enough. You haven't seen either of the Earthshocks yet, or a Hex, and both of those are really, really effective at dealing with those taunts, especially Earthshock for just getting through 1 turn of burst, since you don't have to take out the frog afterward. And so this does stop Powder for now. Powder's just going to continue to build up his board and then try to end it in that explosive turn. He's already seen 1 Shadow Flame come down, but he's not going to extend too far by placing down a Flame Tongue or that Blood Mage a little too early.
Yeah, the Blood Mage is good to keep even though it cycles because you might want to drop that Lightning Storm, and if the Wrath of Air gets wiped, you do want to keep that Blood Mage on tap. So I do like that play here from Powder. Yeah, so Varranis is getting into that point where Moltens are becoming, he could actually cast them, they're becoming castable, but he's not quite there yet with the Giants being significantly lower, the Mountain. So that's going to come down with one Taunter, and he's going to get rid of the Unbound. Really important. Loses the Hellfire, which could be really good. I don't think we have lethal here, because he'd have to Hex and use one of the totems, so that would be only 14 damage. So actually he's still out of it anyway. But what he can do is he can use a Storm and the totems. He could just Hex here. I like to save the Hex, but let's see what he pushes through for damage now that the Hellfire is gone. It might be worth bringing down the
Flame Tongue totem.
The Flame Tongue as well as the Feral Spirits.
And he's actually thinking about Lightning Storming here just to push through for damage. This Lightning Storm equals an extra 2 damage there from his minions, and also keeps that Sun Fury Protector from cleaning up any of his totems afterward.
The problem with this, though, is that next turn your opponent can play free Molten Giants and Jiraxxus. So that's really tricky.
He could be considering not pushing through for any additional damage. If he Lightning Storm, he might just Lightning Storm and then leave it. Just so he has a little bit less to get through on the next turn if he's looking to end it. He also knows that he has 2 Urshocks left in his deck.
Yeah.
If he draws that, that's an instant taunt removal, and that could help him push through for the extra damage. But he's not drawing enough cards here to get huge bursts, so...
I like clearing. Go ahead, I'll finish up.
Oh, I'm just going to say he might clear here and then push through a little bit of damage so he can go for lethal the next turn, but it looks like he's actually just going to throw out Blood Mage Thalmos for the cycle.
So I think this makes sense to me, because you don't want to allow a minion on board that can easily be Shadow Flamed. You want to make him pay for it. So I do like that. He, again, with the Flame Tongue, he's not going to be able to have lethal next turn. With a tap, though, he will, unless he gets up some Taunters. So now he's put himself in lethal range. Silencing the Mage, that's going to be it. So that's going to be 10 plus 5 from the board, and that's going to be GG.
Wow, that was a very anticlimactic ending.
Yeah.
There. Varranis just not drawing the second Sun Fury, not drawing that Defender of Argus either, and that's exactly what we can see there. 15 damage through the 1 turn. Actually, with Earthshock, he could have pushed through an extra 2 damage with an Earthshock onto his Stoneclaw totem, but he didn't end up needing it in the end, and will be able to take the very first game in this series as the Shaman against Handlock.
Yeah. 1 second here. And in the next match, we have some options here. Let me get the overlay updated here. So we have the Varranis' Warlock down, and that means he's got the Warrior, the Priest, or the Shaman. I think we're probably going to see Priest here because it's such a strong matchup, but we could see anything.
I totally agree with you. Priest is typically the hardest counter to Shaman because of their ability to manipulate low attack minions and consistently remain at full health. They have great board control, and I totally agree here with the decision of Varranis to bring out this Priest. You just outvalue Shaman so hard. If you steal anything with your Cobble Shatter Priest, you can just completely turn around the game. You've also got the better Priest against Shaman with the board control from a Wild Pyromancer. The Death Rattle Priest may not be as strong, but this one can just clear the board so effectively and out-control Shaman to the end of the world.
Yeah.
I think we're going to switch over in just a second. There we go. Now we can see our hands there. And immediately a Rockbiter weapon used on a Northshire Cleric. This will limit Priest's ability to draw, but it's potential 6 damage later on down the road that you've kept off of yourself.
The Shaman being able to deal with this actually is pretty good, because you don't want to drop minions down with the Wild Pyromancer down. So I'm actually kind of surprised that we are seeing Powder consider dropping the Unbound. Okay, I like this play much better. A Totem with a Lightning Bolt is better, despite the fact that you don't get the bonus on the Unbound. You can still play the Unbound next turn, or You still can't. You can't clear the Dark Cultist. So
you just knew.
Yeah.
You knew that Unbound Elemental was dead to the Wild Pyromancer as long as your opponent had a spell. And we know that Varranis could have just Thought Stolen and then sacked in his Wild Pyromancer to remove it. Now he doesn't have nearly as good a way to take care of it. He might consider Earthshocking it here and throwing in his Dark Cultist. That would be a pretty easy way to remove it.
Yeah.
But of course, he always has the potential to save his Earthshock for later. There aren't that many minions in the Shaman that need to be silenced. Sometimes they'll run something like a Haunted Creeper, but we haven't seen that in Powder's deck yet.
Yeah.
Actually, from all the cards, I would wager that he's not running the Haunted Creeper, and so of course just using the Earthshock there for the 1 damage was more than effective. Powder does have a way to deal with that Dark Cultist and not give that buff to any of the minions, and then the Spirit Wolves. We can just see how well Shaman can make tempo plays there, bringing it back. One of these Spirit Wolves will be taken out by the Black Knight, but as long as he finds one more piece of damage, he should be able to return kill this Black Knight.
Pass me that arc light spanner.
We're just going to see what he has to draw with Gnomish Inventor first.
Yeah, another Lightning Storm.
Okay, so really, really nice here that the Black Knight is able to survive for a turn.
Yep. Wow. This is actually starting out not so good for the Shaman already, and he needs an advantage early in order to do well in this matchup. The Shaman is, by the way, running 2 Creepers.
Oh, okay, there's the Creepers. So I didn't see it in the last game. But, I mean, like we said, a potentially good Earthshock target, but by all means, taking out the Unbound Elemental is really important. A Hex used right away on the Flame Tongue Totem. A little surprising there. There is always the potential to save it for something like the Fire Elemental, but you know that you have Shadow Word Death in your hand. Actually, drawing the second Shadow Word Death off of the Northshire draw will definitely be more than able to deal with those 6 attack minions.
Getting rid of a Flame Tongue Totem is devastating for a Shaman, and while you might not want to use a card like Hex as a priest, it makes a lot of sense, and it's a really smart move knowing how the matchup works for the Shaman. He would like to get rid of that Mana Tide Totem, because that Mana Tide staying on board can actually do a lot of damage, so it's probably going to be a Holy Nova here. I think the main reason is because... Oh, let's see what he draws first. Yeah, I like this play. If you let the Mana Tide stick around, that is one of the ways Shaman can get back in this matchup.
Definitely. If Shaman can get their cards back up to equal or even a card advantage, they can definitely make power plays over the next couple turns and take the board back. But with this Northshire Cleric to keep your card advantage, and with the Holy Nova in pocket to potentially take down this board, of course you don't have the clear, but you do have the potential to remove this Mana Tide, as well as one of the other larger minions, such as the Gnomish Inventor.
Yeah, so he's not going to clear here with an... he's just coming down the Belcher, which with the Northshire allowing him to get rid of the Taunter, and he can just basically use the 4/5 to clear it. He's gotten rid of what is considered the threatening item on the board, even though it's not a physical threat. The card draw mechanic is. So I like this, and we're going to see a counter Black Knight here on the Sludge Belcher, which is really nice, because it's pretty much all you're going to want to kill as a Shaman with that Black Knight. And we're going to go face with these minions. So the Shaman's taking board control again here, but there's plenty to deal with what's on the board right now, you can see here with that Holy Nova.
Yeah, that Holy Nova, it's not feeling great right now.
No.
It doesn't draw you any cards quite yet, and it's not the perfect answer. It could be soon, though.
Thought Steal.
He would love to do is Thought Steal a Lightning Storm, but we know he can't, because they're already both in Powder's hand.
He could potentially bring down the Lothab, which would just simply limit the options for the Shaman, knowing the Shaman is a spell-heavy deck. That works. Then what he would need to do is he would just start clearing things, but he would know eventually his minions on the board are going to die, and he's not going to get any more card draw out of his Northshire. Okay, so we are going to see the Holy Nova here, and Black Knight's going to go down, as well as the Gnomish with some damage, and then we're going to see the healing to get the card draw, which is really important for the priest. So this play is, in my opinion, the best thing he could have done, and I really like it.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely true. Being able to heal his minions back up and draw after clearing like that, Just goes to show the tremendous strengths of Priest when they can combo their cards together, even if it's not a huge combo. It just keeps them up. Now he has a very, very easy response to this Fire Elemental, just 3 mana to remove it, and then he can continue to play down cards. He has a couple Shadow Priest. I don't suspect he wants to use it yet because he knows that there's still one more Unbound Elemental. There's also the potential for Spirit Wolves. I think he still has one more Feral Spirit in the deck, and he can sit on that for now. He could potentially bring down his own Fire Elemental, just clear out the Taunt Totem and put something on the board. He's got a few options here. This is why drawing cards as a Priest is so important. If you fall down on cards and your hand is just, Holy Nova, Double Shadow, or Death, then you can lose the game really, really easily. But as long as you continue to draw cards off of the Northshire Cleric, cycle through with the Powered Shields as well, you can get such a huge card advantage, which is what we're seeing right now on Varranis. He actually plays fairly conservatively, just throwing down the Loatheb to build up his board and keep a more reactive hand, just so he can outvalue Shaman at every step.
And he will be able to do that. We've got a Doomhammer coming down, which will pair well with the Unbound Elemental. The problem is, gets the Spell Power Totem. So I like the Unbound here, and then the Doomhammer, and he's gonna, if the Unbound survives, he's going to then be able to play the Lightning Storm for value, but I don't know that it will survive. This Loatheb looks poised to kill it, with the Northshire being able to take out the 0-1 Taunt Totem.
Powder's in a really bad spot right now. He just pushed through for a little bit of damage since his Doomhammer would do pretty much Deadly Squad against those minions. Yeah. He knows that he has to find the damage in the game, but he doesn't have it in his hand yet. Those Lightning Storms may see a little bit of play on this next turn, because he's going to need to clear off some of the minions that Varranis is poised to play. Right now, Varranis can just play this so safe. He keeps up his card advantage, he builds up his board, he hasn't overextended so far, and even if he played an additional minion, which he actually won't do, he would still be in a pretty good spot. Of course, the Lightning Storm could have brought Powder back, but at this point, he's just got too many cards in his hand.
Yeah. I mean, okay. Well, he has
and trying the second Earthshock is basically. I mean, there's nothing you can do here unless you get a very, very lucky draw. Unless you can stay alive for the next 2 turns and maybe draw a Rockbiter weapon. But you still don't have your second Rockbiter. You use that on turn 1 against that Northshire Cleric.
Yeah.
And at this point, I mean, things are just looking so good for Varranis. This was definitely the matchup that he wanted to pick into, and it's working well for him so far.
And I do like killing the Northshire and the Loatheb with the Doomhammer, and then using the 2 damage Earthshock with that spell power to get rid of the Fire Elemental. He's cleared the board. He's down to 2 cards and a weapon and a totem against what is basically 7 cards, but unlimited draw from the Priest, because he's at 21 health. He's not in any danger of dying. And with cards that allow you draw, with Shadow Madness that allow you to take your opponent's minions, Cabal Shadow Priest, the value the Priest is going to get here is going to be insane, and it's going to be very difficult to come back. But that's why this is such a good counter pick for Varranis to come back into this game as a 1-1 potentially.
Right, yeah, he's just got such a huge card advantage. He can just play down minions as much as he wants. He could just he just builds his own Yeti here with the Injured Blade Master, as well as throwing on the Dark Cultist and Wild Pyromancer. He knows at this point he doesn't need Wild Pyro's passive to take out Powder's board. Since Powder's not going to be building up a very big board, he can now just use Wild Pyro to trade or push through for a little bit of damage.
Yeah. The light and the light shall burn you.
Oh man, that was really, really nice Lightning Storm. He was able to roll high on the Injured Blade Master, which kept it from getting the health from the Dark Cultist, which he was sure to kill. But Varranis just comes right back with the Cabal Shadow Priest. He's now going to be able to draw the card off of this Blood Mage Thalnos and deny a card from Powder. That's huge when Shaman only has 1 card in his hand.
It's the most frustrating thing the Priest can do. I mean, you're going to Hex the Cabal Shadow Priest and Earthshock to prevent him from getting the card advantage, which means you don't lose a card and he gains a card plus a minion, but at the same point, you needed that card badly to get back in this game. And as we can see, the Priest will now draw its 5th card, being Ysera, a card-drawing card. This is brutal for Shaman, as it usually is.
Oh, absolutely. We just saw the Hex the turn before on the Cobble Shadow Priest, which means that you are so safe. This Ysera is going to be drawing quite a bit off of it. You've also seen both Earthshocks from the Shaman. So this Ysera is about as safe as it can possibly get. Ysera Awakens is the best possible spell you could get against the Shaman too. Everything is going in Varranis' favor
or
here.
a Holy Nova, whatever.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the Holy Nova doesn't clear quite as well because you don't have a way to deal with the Spirit Wolves. But of course, you can save Ysera Awakens for some surprise burst as well. There's really so many ways to deal with this board. If you wanted to play it completely safe, you can Holy Nova Shadow Madness, but Ysera Awakens is just such a strong play this turn, and it forces the surrender out of Powder, because he knows he can't build that board back up.
No, he cannot. And, yep, on that, we will get up here to the best of 7 decks. And we can see that the Shaman is now down, so Powder can choose between the Paladin, the Rogue, or the Mage. What are your thoughts here?
Up against this Priest, I think that Rogue probably does the strongest. Paladin can have a hard matchup if Priest gets the really strong Thought Steals. And from what we saw that last game, Varranis seems to have some pretty good luck there. Mage, depending on the variants, can do well. I think that Value Mage can be really strong against Priests because they can get off to a really nice start. You can counterspell some of their key comeback mechanics, and you can continue to refill your hand with things like Duplicate. But Freeze Mage doesn't do quite as well against Priest because of their ability to heal up every turn after Alexstrasza and to use things like Holy Nova to get a little bit of an edge in health. Eventually you run out of damage.
Yeah.
It's not the worst matchup for Freeze Mage, but if he's running like a Miracle Rogue here, I think that would be a really nice way to try and stop the Priest, since Priest doesn't have a great way to stop the Miracle from happening.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick. I might have to agree with you there. Alright.
That's exactly what we're going to see.
Yep.
Powder bringing out Valeera Sanguinar. Really only one taunt to stomp him, which is really nice. The Sludge Belcher is the only piece of this Priest deck that's going to be able to stop those Cold Bloods from coming into his face. And if Powder can get off some nice clears with Blade Flurry and Deadly Poison, then he should feel pretty good this game. He's going to go ahead and keep that Gazan Auctioneer. He's also going second, and he has the potential to coin out Van Cleef on turn 2, which is a really strong play against Priest.
You know, the Priest is running, isn't he running? No, he's not. Okay. For some reason, I thought this Priest was running Lothab, but he's not. Okay.
Right, yeah, Lothab would be a really key card. It's, it just stops the Rogue for a turn, but it doesn't stop their whole game plan entirely. And if he's not running Lothab, that definitely improves Rogue's chances even farther. But this is kind of a dream hand. He's got a lot of cheap spells to build up Van Cleef, which I doubt he's going to do because of the fear of Shadow Word Death. But mostly to combo with the Gadget Auctioneer, which will likely come on turn 5 here. He can coin and Deadly Poison and Backstab, and if he draws a Conceal, he could of course coin out that Conceal on that turn as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of potential spells that could be played here, even on turn 4. Well, no, excuse me, on turn 5, you're right. So we're going to see the Eviscerate down here just to sort of prevent any kind of board advantage and allowing the Priest to sort of put pressure on the Rogue, which is really nice. And he's not going to need that for the Van Cleef combo, which might be coming out. What do you favor getting out a bigger Van Cleef early and against having it potentially Shadow Word Death versus saving all of this for that Gadgetzan and the traditional Miracle style?
Yeah, you know, you can go Van Cleef on 2. You don't go bigger than 4 against a Priest, though, since you very rarely have Shadow Word Death targets. Unless you get a Cold Blood off, which you're hoping to conceal afterward, then that's pretty much a dead card. And if you coin out a Van Cleef on turn 2, and on Priest turn 3 they have Shadow Word Death, then you've just lost a huge potential Tedbow advantage, which is what Van Cleef represents.
Yeah. Wow. So we're going to see a coin here.
Oh, he's just doing the coin for the Van Cleef. Wait.
For the gadgets in.
Auctioneer. Okay. So he goes for the turn 4 Auctioneer, knowing that Priest... The only way Priest could deal with it is with the Akanai Circle of Healing combo, which he doesn't have. It also stays safe from the Holy Fire. And since there was no conceal there, the Holy Fire was the way that Varranis would likely have taken care of it.
We got
but he can prep!
Holy
he can
Fire.
prep! I didn't see the Thought Seal of the prep! Oh my goodness, that... Oh,
Brutal.
Powder just got miracled.
Yeah, he did. Ha! 3 cost Holy Fires, feeling nice.
I didn't even expect that. I wasn't planning on the Priest playing the preparation, but that is such a nice play from Varranis here. Goes to show the strength of Thoughtsteel. And he shouldn't have a very hard time dealing with Van Cleef here. He could feel pretty safe just throwing down a Sludge Belcher even. He's also got some nice AoE from both the Wild Pyromancer and the Fan of Knives.
I like the Belcher, although as you said, it doesn't deal with it. It slows him down, and Fan of Knives is okay. Fan of Knives gets rid of the South Sea Deckhand, and he's going to heal himself up. So he's opting for the opportunity to draw more cards and get himself back up to full health, which is an interesting choice. It leads me to believe he's not afraid of dying anytime soon, or he's not afraid of the damage from the Van Cleef over time affecting his health.
Yeah, he knows that if Van Cleef gets cold-blooded, then he has the both Shadow Redets actually to handle it. So he's really only afraid of the 4 damage, which of course at 30 health isn't too much of a fear for him. He now knows that Sludge Belcher does really well here. If you cold blood Van Cleef, it's going to die anyway to the Sludge Belcher, and if you get through another way, then you've got some AoE coming up in the future potentially.
Ooh, draws a prep off that gadget then. That's going to be nice. So we can backstab. Draws a Shiv.
Oh yeah, this is a really huge play here for Powder.
Gonna see the prep come down.
Getting that preparation
A
is
Drake.
weird.
He's gonna Shiv the face because he's probably gonna use the weapon to clear. It gets even an SI, so he can hit that and then. Well, I guess you probably want to save, so you just backstab that, and now you're still gonna be able to save the Blade Flurry with the 3 attack for later. And he's gotten a significant amount of draw. He draws another prep, which he will in fact prep.
Holy cow!
Into a Cold Blood to get that extra damage and an additional card. So here's an Earthen Ring as well, and he's gonna get 8 damage on the face, and he's refilled his hand entirely. Will now Blade Flurry for yet an additional card, and decides maybe not. Nope, he's gonna do it. 3 more damage.
So he knows he can Blade Flurry here. He doesn't need Blade Flurry to push through some taunts in the future.
Yep.
And holy cow, that was 8 cards in 1 turn, 7 drawn off the Gadget Stand, and then 1 from Shiv. That was the miracle at work.
Yeah. Wow. His opponent's at 15 health now, and he's got basically just as many. The Rogue Powder has just as many cards as he had before the turn. We're of course going to see Shadow or Death and a Belcher. He knows that with what's just happened, he has to fear for his life. So this is making me think a little bit about not getting rid of that Auctioneer. That Van Cleef earlier by getting out the slightly earlier Sludge. But okay, we're going to see a Sap. 4 more damage.
Yeah, that Fan of Knives play he made on turn 6 felt super safe to him because he was at max health, but it just left the minion on the board for far too long.
Yep.
And Sludge Belcher could have really made a difference there since the miracle couldn't have quite happened yet. And that was just a really, really nice way for Powder to come back here. He doesn't quite have everything he needs to finish it off. He doesn't have the burst, but he's got so many minions to play that he should be able to push through whatever Varranis can show out, especially since this Gadget Stand isn't really going anywhere. Although it might overdrops.
It is a possibility, but at the same time, you're right. He can push through anything. He's got a Sap here. I mean, he's even got a Drake for more draw on top of. I mean, God, he's just got everything. He's got the Fan of Knives too, and it's gonna come down just for a little bit of extra draw, no damage here, and he gets a Loathad.
He's drawn almost every card in his deck at this point. and it's that was turn 8.
And he gets an Eviscerate as well. So that Eviscerate coming off the Fan of Knives or the Gadgetzan, however you want to look at it, that will be lethal. It's just a question of...
you sap SI7 Eviscerate. Or you don't even need the SI7, you just sap Eviscerate. Oh, no, of course.
You need the SI.
Yeah, you have your weapon. You have your
you have the weapon, right.
You're 1 over...
There's a few ways to do this. You could sap SI Eviscerate. You could sap Eviscerate Hero Power. You do whatever way you like.
How do you BM? That's
you know, I wasn't putting that in my calculation. My bad. You should SI the Pyro, SI the Wild Pyro, and then conceal both of them, and then hit face. That's the proper BM.
Yeah, the conceal before the attack would have been remarkable as well. But Powder pulls off the Miracle, draws through almost every single card in his deck on turn 9, and is able to bring himself ahead once again. He's now up 2-1, and Varranis is going to have to find something else to face off against this Miracle Rogue. He's got Shaman and Warrior left, and we know that Warrior doesn't typically fare too well against the Miracle, so I think it's going to have to be Shaman.
Yeah, oh God, I have to agree with you there. I think it's his best bet.
Especially if your Warrior gets taken out and that Mage is a Freeze Mage. Freeze Mage tends to have a pretty good matchup against Shaman because of your ability to just clear their board endlessly. And if you don't have the Warrior there to stop the Freeze Mage, then that could be a really, really huge advantage to Powder in this series. And so I think Varranis just needs to stop this Miracle Rogue with the Shaman. Right now, Powder's in a really good spot, though. This Miracle Rogue definitely going to do work against at least one of those remaining decks from Varranis.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think the problem... it's tricky. So I do like the Shaman as the pick versus the Rogue, but then I like the Warrior better versus all the other decks. So I think this is just what happens in a best of series when you're behind, and it's a really interesting the way these decks have been built.
Yeah, this ban and pick process is really interesting. That is the Shaman we see, just like we said. You know what feels really good? When players do what you expect them to do and what you call them. It's just it's so validating. Thank you, Varranis. Thank you for that.
Right,
the Rogue does have some really key tools here. The Blade Flurry is tremendous, and it's going to mean Varranis can't overextend on this board at all.
Yeah, and to talk a little bit about Varranis' Shaman here, this is double Doomhammer, double Lava Burst, as you probably suspected from the mulligans. As you can see, there's a Loatheb in there as well. So, this Shaman I have not seen in the Rogue matchup nearly as much because it's a brand new type of Shaman. But I would imagine that the main problem versus Rogue, which is racing them before the Miracle's only going to be improved by 2 Doomhammers and Lava Bursts. So I'm in favor of... I'm putting this in favor of the Shaman having not seen the matchup, but knowing that there's a Loatheb in there in hand, as well as a bunch of damage to race.
Yeah, this build is really nice against the Miracle Rogue. You don't have great ways to stop the Miracle from happening. I feel like unless you want to drop a Lava Burst onto the Gadgetzan, or get a really lucky Lightning Storm against the Conceal. But you've got so much damage. You can you already have both of your Rockbiter weapons, which I like to say that maybe I play too conservatively. Of course, Varranis knows what's up, and he knows that Earthring Farseer could trade really well against the Spirit Wolves. This keeps them alive, pushing in for damage. Yeah, the problem, I mean, you don't want to use the Rockbiter, but in this case, you're okay with it. Because ultimately, you're going to push through significantly more damage than the 6 you would potentially get with the Rockbiter by forcing him to attack into your Spirit Wolves with a weapon, as you can see here, and with the 4 damage he just got. So you're going to get your value, and you're slowing him down. Now, you got to save that Loatheb for potential Gadgetzan Conceal turn. So it feels like Totem Unbound here, and that's what we're gonna see. So we've got now 8 damage that's come down from those Feral Spirits, and that's gonna put the value you need from the original Rockbiter that was used. Yeah, you're very right.
And it puts the pressure significantly on Powder here. I mean, he does have the ability to Blade Flurry, which is nice, but that will not even kill his minion. He's going to have to weapon up and attack into the Unbound, or SI, which we're going to see the SI come down here, which I like.
This takes the board back, but it is such an important card that you just used on really just 2 minions, and now Shaman is has so much more potential to build the board back up, knowing that Blade Flurry is back down.
And I want to mention there's an additional Feral in there, as well as 1 Defender of Argus. And when you get rid of the Blade Flurries early, and you're able to taunt up, even maybe with a with a Sludge Belcher, which he doesn't have, he still has significantly more taunt he can play, and there's another one. But you got to be careful of playing those Ferals when there's a spell power on the board, because there are very quick ways of dealing with it. But ultimately, yeah. Oh wow, Lotheb here.
You know what? It's nice because it prevents the Gajazan from coming down.
Right.
Sometimes once you get later into the game, you can't play Lotheb reactively because Gajazan can still draw 3 or 4 cards by itself. It will just proc the counter Lotheb there out of Powder, since he doesn't have a great play. Violet Teacher is weak here because you can't play any spells to combo with it. And of course he's going to save Harrison, since he could be expecting that Doomhammer, especially potentially knowing what deck Varranis is running.
Yeah, versus Shaman as a rogue, whether you know they're playing 1 or 2 Doomhammers, it's the thing you're most afraid of in terms of continual direct damage, so you have to save it unless you're in a dire position. I like Lotheb going down. I also like the Feral Spirits going down. He's going to hope that there isn't a significant amount of spell damage that will be buffed by the Blood Mage, and he's right, that only the Shiv will help, and there's no Gadgetzan down here to continue the card draw mechanic. So okay, we're gonna see the Gadgetzan come down. I really like this versus just shivving, because then you can coin, hope to draw in, and then shiv in Cold Blood. So we've got your Deadly Poison, that'll get rid of 1. The Shiv plus the Blood Mage will get rid of the other. He's going to have ways to clear everything, and he can go to face if he wants now with Lotheb, or potentially a Cold-Blooded Lotheb. Here comes the Shiv.
Yeah, he could go to face with a Cold Blood Lotheb, or just trade his Lothebs off to help keep his Gadgetzan alive. I feel like Miracle Rogue is in as good a spot he can be. He has gotten off quite a bit of Miracle here, and the preparation is so huge. Just be able to draw
into a backstab. Oh my god! Scratch what I said. We're gonna see a Cold Blood on the Blood Mage now, and both are gonna go in, and the board will get cleared. Probably the Lothebs will clear each other. If not, he'll just go face on everything. But I like clearing the Lotheb. Really amazing.
Oh my goodness! I can't even begin to count. I think I was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards drawn that turn.
Why did he use the weapon to kill the Feral and not the Blood? Why did he use the Blood Mage and not the weapon? Not only was the Blood Mage more damage, but he would be more sustained damage. That doesn't make sense to me. He used his Blood Mage to kill the damaged Feral. He used the other to kill... Yeah, I think that was a bit of a misplay, but I might have... It happened pretty quickly. I don't see why you would use... why you would do that. But regardless, what a great turn.
Oh yeah. That's the miracle getting pulled off. We now know if Varranis tries to equip the Doomhammer to set up for the Rockbiter burst, that it could get taken out by Powder. And if he expects the Harrison Jones, that might actually keep him from playing the Doomhammer until he has lethal, because Harrison could just absolutely wreck him.
The only thing I can think of about not using the weapon is that he's so afraid of his life total, and he doesn't know if he's going to get a chance to Earthen Ring to survive. So that could be potentially what he's thinking here. We're going to see the Eviscerate on the Drake. He's
another prep.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
He's going to want to Earthen Ring soon, but with Lava Burst, yeah, that must have been why he did it. It makes sense from that perspective. I can't really think of any other reason why. My goodness.
It was just so you're saying it was just the 2 damage he didn't want to take?
Yeah.
Which is why he didn't attack?
Exactly. Being down to 14 would put him... he could die to a Doomhammer plus Rockbiter and
plus
then
Lava Burst.
Plus Lava. There's a lot of things he could... We're going to see the 3 damage to the face from the Fire Elemental here. after hexing the gadgets on, which I really like because there's no overload. That will allow him to run for push for lethal next turn with the Rock Biter and the Lava Burst, as well as the Fire Alley.
Yeah, I like the Fire Alley damage on face because you know you have both Lightning Storm and Earthshock to clear out that totem. You're not worried about killing it at all. You just want to get as much face damage as you can, and since you were not attacking this turn, the taunt is irrelevant.
Yeah.
I am ready to learn.
Okay, we're gonna see a sap here. The question is, 3.
You know what card would be great here? Stormwind Champion.
That would be great.
That would be 12,
Ooh,
12.
I think he just did he get lethal there with the lava? I think he did. I think the lava plus the lightning. You earth shock the totem. You push with the rock biter. 6, 7, 8, 9. No, he doesn't quite have enough mana to do it. But he's going to clear most of the board here with the earth shock lightning storm.
I think he had 14 damage overall. And his opponent was at 16, and of course he it would have cost 11 mana. But this is such a big play. He's able to remove his opponent's board and play a 6/5. You've already seen one sap come down, and now he has a lot more potential for lethal with a big.
Ooh, he draws into the second sap, which is gonna be really nice. He could also kill this off. Right with
I think you have to sap it. I don't think you can take. I think you can take the weapon. And you can't, like, Fan of Knives and SI7. I think you use Fan of Knives first. You hope to draw something like maybe an Eviscerate. But then you just have to sap it back.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah,
if you take the 6 to the face, you lose.
1 damage off, 1 mana off on that play. Yeah, I like it. Sap it. So with 8 mana, though, he's going to be able to do 9 damage with the Fire Alley, the Lightning Bolt, and the Rock Biter. You can't play the Lava at this point. Both players are getting to that point where they know that they could potentially die within a turn. The Shaman's a little bit safer. He might have 2 turns if he's thinking of the worst case scenario from his opponent.
You've already seen at least 1 Eviscerate, you've seen 1 Cold Blood. You know that the Rogue can't burst you down that much. And so it's unlikely he can do 19 points of damage in the turn, based on what he has. You know that he's been sitting on that Harrison for a long time, because you've seen it in his hand throughout almost the entire game. And so you have to expect that to be a very, very reactive card, since if it were a cheap spell, he would have played it on one of the gadgets and turns. You really have to think it's something to, like, you know, a big reactive play, like maybe a Black Knight even.
Yeah.
Or this Harrison, which we know it is because we are omniscient.
And he's going to bring down the Fire Alley, and he's going to push for damage because he thinks he can win next turn. There's no more saps. He'd have to trade his minion and, let's say, another 1 damage spell.
South the deckhand.
Yeah, if this deck was running double Cold Blood, there could be lethal here.
How does he draw the... Oh, I guess you draw it from the Fan of Knives. Yeah. Okay, he takes a safe play here. He has 1 card left in his deck, and it is Backstab, which you can't use now. Probably the worst card that you could have possibly drawn.
And he's gonna have to South Sea Deckhand into it, I imagine. He can't take that damage. Looks like he will.
Yeah. Does he have the damage just to finish off the game now? One thing that's funny is you can't play Harrison Jones into a weapon or you just kill yourself.
Oh my god.
So Varranis would love to draw a Doom Hammer right now, since you know it's safe from Harrison.
Defender.
Defenders?
Not bad.
It gives you a taunt.
Yep.
And you know that your opponent only has 14 damage and 2 cards in hand.
Well,
one of which was his top
power,
deck.
that's 10, that's 13, that's lethal.
Oh. Or he can just, you know, do the 25% chance. It's a much better play. Why didn't I RNG that?
Alright, GG. And we have Varranis taking that game number 4.
Okay, he wants to make it a full series. And so a full series we shall get. Now we're going to to have to see Powder come back with one of his 2 remaining decks, and he has either the Mage or the Paladin. Paladin, there it is.
Yeah.
And I expect to see the Mage if it's Freeze Mage. Probably either Mage I would actually like to see. I don't know how well Paladin fares against the Shaman, but I feel like Shaman can have some really strong plays with hexes on big minions and you know, high tempo plays to get the board built up early on before Paladin can really respond. But he is going to come out with the Paladin right now, so he doesn't feel that great about his Mage playing into the Paladin. Or he just wants to save his Mage because he knows he needs to kill that Warrior first.
Yeah.
So here it is, Paladin with a bit of nice tech there with the Zombie Chow. He gets it in his starting hand and just sends back the Sylvanas Windrunner. That's going to be a great turn 1 play, especially against a deck like Shaman. You can use this Zombie Chow to trade really favorably with all of his totems, and that's going to be the best card you could have drawn here in your opening hand.
Yeah, traditionally versus Shaman, the Paladin struggled in the early game. You had to let them build their board, and then Equality Consecrate or Pyro Equality. But now you can just clear totems and force them to deal with your card with either a spell, which usually has Overload, or minions, which then die. So it's a great addition in this particular matchup, and I'm sure a few of the other more difficult matchups for the Paladin where board presence is important. Zoo, for example.
That's absolutely true. This just gives you the best possible early game. And, of course, the Death Rattle and Zombie Chow doesn't really matter at all, since Paladin is not looking to press through for damage early. They're just looking for board control, like you said, which is a place where they've suffered in the past. I think that, yeah, either coining out the Unbound Elemental or playing the Haunted Creeper are both strong plays. Next turn you could have Unbound and then coined out a Lightning Bolt just to keep your Unbound safer. Now, as long as there's, you know, 1 more point of damage, this Unbound could fall, but with the Unbound staying alive, it's going to get buffed up by a potential Lightning Bolt or Lightning Storm if it does come up in the next couple turns.
Yeah, I like the Lightning Bolt and then the Haunted Creeper, and I'm curious. Is he? I was gonna say go for face here. I was curious how he played it. The safer play is to go for clearing off these 1/1 totems, but effectively, if he's going to start clearing your creeper, all he's going to do is put out more 1/1. So there's not really much to be afraid of. Here we go. We get to see an additional 3 damage. One of the dudes goes away, and much better play to go to the face and trade. He forced an additional attack as well as getting the additional damage off. I like this.
Yeah, you know, a good rule of thumb is if you can kill all the Paladin's minions, then do it. But if you can't kill them all, then you can't really worry about them. The big uses for those little recruits are dealing an extra damage, because there's a lot of minions with 5 health that the True Silver Champion can't kill. And what we just saw there, having even just one of those Silver Hand recruits allowed him to trade favorably.
Right.
They're also really good at cleaning up minions who have been taken out by Equality. And of course being buffed up, which is something that we don't see that often, since most Paladins don't run that Blessing of Kings. That's much more of an arena play. Here,
or any of the secrets.
Right. Yeah, Avenge as well. But this is much more of a standard control Paladin, who won't be running Avenge. Instead just has very, very heavy removal and responses, and then takes the game over with late game threats, which could be difficult. You know, he can't play Tyrion until he's seen those hexes, because Varranis is just going to sit on that until he sees Powder putting his faith in the light. Yeah,
and that's the thing, is you really want to save those hexes, so often a Shaman will do anything he can to deal with them. We see a Spellbreaker coming down, which prevents the card draw from the Blood Mage and the spell power. With this many minions on board, though, the Shaman can start to fill his own board. You do want to be wary of filling up your board without actually having your opponent with a full board because of a full clear. But in this case, he actually, with the Earth Shock and the Rockbiter, can clear most of this. The question is, does he want to bring down that Fire Elemental and just get a little bit more board presence? Oh god, the Unbound Rock Biter, Earth Shock. It's interesting. It doesn't actually buff the Unbound, and it only kills. It does kill the 2 more important minions. I like the Fire Ellie here. I think this is the better play, especially since you have another one in hand and it's a little clunky at 6 mana.
Yeah, you have to take out the Recruit here, or else the Recruit and Spellbreaker would be able to take out your Fire Ellie. This is a really nice play to give Paladin kind of an awkward spot where he's not exactly sure how to trade here. A Consecration would be alright, but it's not ideal since you're really only killing 2 minions and you still have to trade off your Spellbreaker. It definitely puts him in an awkward spot. If he had Recruit, this would be a much, much easier turn. But he will go for the Consecrate. That's such an important card in this matchup, so Varranis has got to be feeling pretty good that it only took out a few of those minions, and he still gets 6 damage to the face with the Fire Elemental, which is pretty important. He can then use a Fire Elemental on turn 7 to get rid of the Spellbreaker.
Interesting that this Paladin's running a Mind Control tech. I'm taking a look at this list.
Whoa, that's going to improve his Shaman matchup by just a little.
Yeah, yep. It's also running Kel'Thuzad, Ysera, and Tyrion.
Wow, that's a very interesting list, and I'm excited to see it in action. This Shade and Extremis is going to be another way for Paladin, of course, to push for damage. It's a nice early play that doesn't gain you great early board control, but can come through explosively later on, and it of course can just trade as a 3/3 if you need it on that board. I don't think we're going to see it for a while unless it's just to fill in mana, since it's not going to make a big impact on anything quite yet.
I dream.
Okay, Ysera's coming down. I think you actually Earth Shock this, unless you want to Earth Shock the Tyrion. I'd prefer to Hex the Tyrion, so I would Earth Shock this and just start to clear, but let's see what he does here. Oh god. So he looks like he's gonna Hex, which means he's gonna have to deal with Tyrion later, and he's gonna have to save the Earth Shock for that. There's just no way around that at this point. You do not want to give them that weapon. Another
issue is the 4 health, or the 12 health is just huge, and Shaman is really limited on the total damage that it can deal. He knows that he needs to kill Powder eventually, especially before the healing comes through, and so being a little bit more reactive so that he can gain board control, I think, is very important. And he has the Earthshock, of course, for the Tyrion, as well as something like a Lava Burst or a minion on board to finish him off.
That is brutal. Oh my goodness. I mean,
Emerald Drake, probably the second best minion he could have gotten, or card he could have gotten. Definitely the best minion he could have gotten. No one wants Laughing Sister.
Absolutely. Okay, so Lava Burst will clear. That's really, he got that lucky totem, and that's going to make his life a lot easier.
Oh yeah. It looks like Varranis is really, really good at rolling spell power totems. Almost as good as the Shaman bots were on the ladder. Rest in peace, Shaman bots. May you forever live in hell. And an Alder Peacekeeper just to put a minion on the board will be really nice. You know, it only gets rid of 2 attack, but it just helps to build you up a little bit. But what it means is that that equality could be very, very punishing if Powder came out with the second one, since he has put down a few minions on the board.
Wow, really interesting. So yep, we're gonna watch the Peacekeeper come down and the Senjin. Nice board presence here from the Paladin. This deck is very different than anything I've ever seen. I really like it. I'm curious to see how it plays in other matchups. It looks like this deck does have a chance of winning, although another Flame Tongue Totem will allow for enough damage for these minions to clear most of the threats on the board.
Yeah, Varranis is following the rules heavy right now,
Yeah.
and that's going to really hurt his ability to clear out this board, and it takes out a lot of his damage. And with that, yeah, he can clear it with the Earthshock, but what it does mean is that he doesn't have Earthshock for something like Tyrion. He's also got to be really afraid of this late game. If Kel'Thuzad comes down with a board like this, then Powder's going to sweep the game. There's no way you can come back from that, because his board's going to continue to refill itself every single turn. Yeah,
this is a very tricky spot for the Shaman, and I think you could save the Earthshock, but I think you got to play everything else and start to clear this board. I think you have to take 3 to the face, I think you've got to get rid of the Senjin, and you've got to get rid of the Shade. And those are have-tos at this point.
Yeah, that Shade's just going to keep getting bigger. Also, as his health grows, it's going to be really difficult to take care of with something like a Lightning Storm sweep. Lightning Storm would be quite an amazing card right now, but unfortunately Varranis just hasn't been quite so lucky. He instead opts for the Rock Biter to...
oh, interesting.
And he has to Earthshock this the Shade's next Varranis. It doesn't even kill it though, which means Shade...
Oh my god, that was dirty. That was dirty, man. I do not like the feeling of that.
Yeah, that's not the play you want to make as a Shaman. And now, once your board gets cleared, these Flame Tongue Totems are going to be pretty useless, since you know that Powder's going to be able to pretty much remove anything he wants, now that he has a True Silver Champion equipped.
I would have certainly brought in the Flame Tongues earlier. A Shaman with no board, which you know is going to happen. That's a good card if he can spam his hero power 2 or 3 times in a turn, but since he can't, he's going to get, oh my god. Yeah.
Powder's out of cards, and so if Varranis can get a Lightning Storm down in the next couple turns, he does have the potential to come back. But if he gets something like a Doomhammer, and Powder's going to be able to draw off Harrison, then... that's definitely going to be the game. But with so few cards in Powder's hand, he doesn't have a lot to do on these next few turns, since he's got he's got 2 very responsive cards.
Oh god, I hear you. I don't know if there's enough RNG in the deck for Varranis to get what he needs to come back here.
Yeah, you know, one thing that you're not too afraid of is burst from the Shaman, or from the Paladin, and so you know you've probably got at least 2 turns left, and so he's gonna cross his fingers for a Lightning Storm. Azure Drake is the next best thing.
Yeah,
it's a minion on the board and lets him draw through 1 more. Feral Spirits keeps you alive, and that's what he's going to go for. That's 3 health 2 times over, and he rolls a Taunt Totem, which was the best potential totem in this circumstance.
Yep. So with the board, he can clear all the taunt and then use the True Silver to get rid of the Drake. Can also Consecrate, which he's going to do.
And you've got your little army of 1/1s to send in, and really, really nice play. We can see how strong that Paladin hero power is once you have a few turns to build it up. You just have infinite trading potential, and it's so good. Even though it's not very strong in the late game, getting to send those little guys in right now is pretty huge.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that is not a draw he wanted. Is he gonna have to? No, he doesn't have to love him versus the Elder Peacekeeper.
No, he can totem, taunt, Flame Tongue Totem, Defender them both.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good play right here. He knows he needs 2 taunts.
My shield for Argus.
Does Varranis have a Doomhammer?
Yeah, Powder just asked the same question. Varranis.
Apparently, I think that means he hasn't been able to draw it for the last 2 games.
Yeah. He's got. He's got 2, man. I'm telling you, I'm looking at the deck list. I can't speak to the deck he put together, but if he matches the list, there's 2 in there.
Powder's been sitting on this Harrison for 2 games in a row, waiting to play it. He didn't get the chance in the first game because it would have overdrawn him. But man, is he wanting to Harrison that Doomhammer? Yet another dead draw from Varranis. And it'd be really fun if he used the wrong deck here, which overall, I mean, would be technically against the rules, but it has definitely hurt him not having that Doomhammer, which can trade so well and push through for damage.
I love it. Powder on his stream is complaining that he's had to hold on to Harrison. He's complaining that he's crushing the Shaman because he's holding on to Harrison because there's no Doomhammer coming. I love it.
He just wants to put it in the museum, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. That's so good. That's the kind of BM I like. Buddy, why aren't you playing your cards that I can steal cards from and throw in the museum? 27 health, that Lava Burst, not looking so good. It will get rid of a Kodo, but that's not what you need. There it is! And I guess there's no question as to whether this is going to a museum or not.
Oh, Oh man.
He knows it's going into the museum. There it is.
No! He doesn't even let him play that.
No, he doesn't let him. No way, I understand the pain.
Varranis lost, but I mean, I think we all came out the losers in the end, not getting to see the Harrison Jones. But a very, very well played game there from the Paladin, getting the really nice turn 1 draw and just continuing to keep the board down for the entire game. If you get to late game as Paladin on high health, there's just not a lot that can stop you, especially against a deck that can burn itself out like Shaman. And we are going to see Varranis' very last deck, the Warrior. And if Paladin can beat down Warrior, then I was going to say, then he's got nothing to stop his mage, but then he's just won the series and he doesn't have to worry about his mage deck.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, let's talk about this matchup. You're probably a little bit more familiar with it than I am. You want to give me your thoughts on it?
No, I love Control Warrior, but Paladin is one of the ones that can give you quite a bit of trouble. Control Warrior is really, really strong against aggressive decks because of how well they can build up their health and thwart early aggression. It doesn't fare as well against control decks. There are some that it can do well against consistently, but I feel like Paladin isn't one of those. Since you don't always have great ways to get rid of Tyrion, Tyrion is really resistant to something like Execute. Since you have to damage him twice just to get the Execute off, you have to damage him before you can shield slam him. Paladin usually never builds up a big board that you would want to brawl. You do have a couple really key cards there. Karen Bloodhoof and Sylvanas Rinrunner can get you huge advantages in the mid to late game. And then you do have some really nice power plays in the end, but it can be hard to stop plays like the Kel'Thuzad, like Tyrion, like the Ysera that Powder will be bringing out later on.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm just trying to think ahead with what... I mean, the mind control tech is probably not going to come in handy. It'd be pretty unlikely. Kel'Thuzad requires late game and a board. I feel like the traditional Paladin we see is better versus Warrior. This Paladin's going to have more board control, but ultimately it needs sort of a certain combination of cards to work. I'm interested to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I feel like this Paladin still has a pretty good matchup. You have Holy Light to heal yourself after the Alex Stronza comes in. You've got equality to deal with the big power plays from Warrior later on in the game. And you're not as vulnerable to things like Execute or Shield Slam like other decks might be. I think you're right that Mind Control Attack is going to be one of the weaker cards here. You take it to counter decks with a lot of minions like Shaman, like Zoo, like Hunter, when you can steal one of those early on, but against a Warrior, it's really unlikely that you're going to see more than 3 minions out. Also, this Warrior deck is running a Harrison, so we might see some Harrison wars coming out here. Ooh, we've been denied the Harrison so righteously tonight. I would love to see it come through.
We might get it twice. It might be the way it needs to be, the heart of the cards for us.
And I guess we need to pay a visit to the museum tonight.
Yeah.
Varranis is, getting Karen out on turn 6 is really nice to kind of bring back in this board because Karen can potentially take out quite a few of these. Humility or Elder Peacekeeper are such great ways to handle the Karen now, and I think Elder Peacekeeper's coming down here puts another minion on the board to set up for Kel'Thuzad, and it lets you play the Shade of Naxxramas. Which just puts you in a really, really nice board position coming in later. Kel'Thuzad and I think Shade of Naxxramas would be really, really strong plays here. Ooh, he just goes for the very safe play of, oh, wait.
Yeah, I think he's thinking about dude value here. And he's gonna go for nothing.
Okay. So why wouldn't he play a dude? That's my question. Is it because he's afraid of Brawl, and he doesn't want to decrease his chances of a Shield Master or Elder Peacekeeper surviving?
That's the only thing I can think of. I like your logic there, because other than that, there's no reason to not dude.
Yeah, and that that does make Shade Naxxramas a pretty bad play there. What I was originally thinking was just he has 3 mana, might as well play it. But Brawl is the best way to get rid of Shade of Naxxramas before it gets to be a problem. And so he's not going to overextend.
And your Karn's a 1/5. You're almost happy to lose it at this point. So I think the Brawl was imminent in Powder's mind. So I think that's a good heads-up play. As we can see, it's not going to happen just yet because he's got a weapon, which will start to clear. And we are going to see it soon, though.
Yeah, that Brawl is going to be the way to get Varranis back on the board, since we very often see Warriors really able to keep the board from getting out of hand, but rarely are able to get the board advantage. And Brawl is just one of those mechanics to bring the board a little bit more even before you make a big, turn 8, turn 9 play, potentially.
Yeah.
This is very typical to see the board get away from you in these turns without something like Brawl to bring it back. Shield Slam or Execute Soon would be really nice just to deal with some of these larger minions that are coming out. And so far, Varranis has done a pretty good job of controlling the board.
We're in the Kel'Thuzad land, though, guys, and Powder is massaging the Tazad, so he's contemplating it. There are better times to play it, but he would get both minions back, one of which he could get anyway. So he's only getting the Peacekeeper back. I don't think it's quite time yet. I'd prefer, Naxxramas maybe. There's a couple other plays, maybe another dude. I think it's tricky because you've got to find that balance. If he starts to clear your minions, I'd prefer to get back Shade than the Keeper. So I think it's better to keep it the way he's done it has worked out. We'll see how it moves forward. If more minions come down, he can, of course, mind control tech and then get some great future value with Kel'Thuzad. So let's see how this ends up.
Right, and what's really important is, and he's going to be able to mind control tech.
Yep.
He's going to be really excited about that.
He's going to get anything.
Important to keep in mind is playing against a Warrior is very similar to playing against a Paladin, where if they build up their board, you can build up yours, because it keeps them from playing, it keeps Paladin from playing Quality Consecrate or Quality Pyro, and it keeps Warrior from playing Brawl. He steals the worst minion there.
Yeah.
He would have loved to get either Bane, he would have loved to get this Sludge Belcher, or he would have loved to get the card draw. He will get some armor and deny armor from his opponent, but overall it's the weakest play. But still, stealing a minion and playing a 3/3 for 3 mana is some pretty intense value.
And the Quality Consecrate will, the Pyromancer Consecrate will get rid of everything on the board. And, well, actually not true. There will be a 1/1 left over from the Sludge as
and
well
as
the 4/5. Yes, from the Bane. Thank you.
Yeah, he gets a lot of armor from this, which is really, really nice. The Bane is going to be able to clear quite a bit of this. And he also draws the Death Bite, which is going to help him keep this board down. And I feel like if Warrior can bring this board back under control, if he can take out these minions before Kel'Thuzad comes out, then he's got some really nice plays ahead of him. He has some burst damage from the weapon and from this Warsong Commander. Is that the name of the card?
Corcoran Elite?
Corcoran Elite, right, of course.
Elite.
That can follow up the 15 points of burst damage from Alexstrasza.
This Paladin and this Warrior both have in very interesting tech cards to help deal with what makes its deck list usually weak. The Corcoran is great because it's a charge minion. It deals really well with traps because it throws them off guard. It's also got some good burst damage. The Paladin has the mind control tech, the Harrison, the Kel'Thuzad. These are very interesting decks, and I think if they're being played by these players in this tournament, they must be incredibly strong in the matchups they're meant to play against. We see the Brawl come down, and I was going to finish off by saying I'm really excited to see how these decks play out in the future.
Oh yeah. Now this Brawl is really nice because you can use your Death Bite immediately afterward to deal with whatever minion lives, and that's exactly what it's going to do. It's perfect because now you can play Alexstrasza out on a potentially empty or very small board, which I think is what he's going to do soon, since he's not too scared of this zombie trap pressing in on him.
Well, if you're going to do that, you probably kill it first, because you don't want that heal to help. So you just kill the Chow and the 1/1, then you Alexstrasza, so you'll get him down to 15 or 16 with the armor.
Yeah, that feels like a really nice play here, and it looks like that's what he's going to do. 15 points of burst damage, and you've got damage to back it up as well. You've got your Corcoran Elite. You've got a potential 8 from this Alexstrasza. We know that equality is going to come down here since Powder cannot take those 8 points of damage now that he's this low in health. But, you know, it looks pretty nice.
Yep, he can humility and start to clear it while healing himself up, which will... He's going to go face though, so he's basically going to turn this into a dude killer. Alexstrasza is now a dude killer.
Yeah, you know, humility was so far over I couldn't see it, but this is also a really nice way to deal with Alexstrasza. There are a few other pretty big threats in this warrior deck, which he has yet to draw. Alexstrasza and Sylvanas out on the board. It's going to make him feel pretty well. He now can control this board really well, and it prevents Powder from making a play like Tyrion, since Sylvanas is the bane of Tyrion.
All these weapons and no museum to house them. What's going on? Why won't they help us out here?
These last 2 games, he's had Harrison Jones in his hand almost the entire game. He drew
another
it before
weapon.
turn 5.
Another True Silver. It's like I feel like we've seen 6 True Silvers tonight. I really feel like we've seen it. I love it.
Oh my goodness. And still, yeah, not a museum to be had. More face. Because he wants to heal himself up a little bit, and he knows he has a second True Silver there for the board. He's even going to heal himself since he's terrified of the Grommash Hellscream. Grommash plus weapon plus the minions on board is 20 damage, and so he's got to heal himself up.
Yeah. Was that Grommash including just a regular there's Harrison. Or was it, you know what, I'm going to ignore what I was about to say. Let's go to the museum, baby.
Museum.
Oh, yeah.
And that is a full True Silver champion. He didn't get to attack with it. That's 2 cards.
Wow.
And that, I mean, it feels like a game-ending play. Even though he was doing really, really well on the board, that just brings up tremendously. And it's got to make Powder feel a little silly about attacking face and equipping the second one. It ended up being the wrong play there because you didn't get any value out of that True Silver except for drawing cards for your opponent.
Yeah, that was brutal. Get to Ysera, which now with the Equality Pyro will clear the board. No minions will be stolen by Sylvanas. Gets good value, which he was anticipating, but I think that True Silver Harrison combo, what we were deserved, it was about time, has actually crippled Powder.
Right, this Ragnaros is huge. He doesn't need his Grom to push in for damage right now. I mean, he's got to deal 5. He's got the Corcoran Elite, as well as potentially another weapon in the deck.
He can Taskmaster the Corcoran as well. So many ways.
Right. That's going to be 6 damage pushing through. But Powder's not going to let him finish the job himself. And so that will be the 6th game going back and forth. We're now going to see Game 7. And this is why we play best of 7, to see 2 really great players match up against each other. But now we have to see a mage go up against this warrior, and if it's a freeze mage, this might be a really, really quick game. Well, might be a really, really painfully slow game, but I think we'll decide who wins very quickly. And, oh, it's going to be value mage, so Powder's going to have a much, much better chance here than he would if he were the freeze variety.
Yeah.
For people unaware, freeze mage relies entirely on direct damage, and warrior just has far too much armor and healing, healing through armor to allow it to happen. But now that he's going to deal damage through these minions, which he can make pretty powerful plays on early on and continue to keep up the pressure through the mid game, this could be something Warrior has a hard time dealing with if he doesn't get off a really nice Brawl, and something like Counterspell could keep a key spell like Brawl or Shield Slam from happening.
I'll show them. I'll show them all.
Double Mad Scientist out on the board already, and we don't see a way to deal with them.
2 Counterspells, 1 Duplicate, 2 Mirror Entities, so this is actually well equipped to handle a Warrior. Certainly much better than a different type of mage we might have seen, as you mentioned.
Yeah, Mirror Entity is going to be huge against the Warrior. It forces them to basically play out a Cruel Taskmaster, because anything else you get from that will be really nice. Maybe an Armor Smith would be a pretty good one for Warrior. And
that was a counter spell, by the way, guys. We can kind of glance at the other stream and let you know that was in fact a counter spell.
Yeah, so there is a secret currently there for the mage. It's just hiding behind that Azure Drake. And we are going to see potentially a silence here just to keep that second secret from coming out. Aha! It also could potentially proc that the mirror entity, if it were to be a mirror entity, which Varranis, of course, doesn't know. And he could then take it out with his weapon. It'd be a pretty easy solution.
I like Spellbreaker. You do not want to give them a Lotheb. You do not want to give them a Belcher. I think that the Spellbreaker and getting rid of Secret gives you an insane amount of value considering the potential of that duplicate of the mirror entity.
And now you know it's not mirror entity. Once you kill this, you're gonna know it's not duplicate, and you can assume that it's counterspell, since there are very few other cards that this variant will be playing. Although, since we've only seen 2 Mad Scientists, this could be Freeze Mage.
Yeah.
That Sludge Belcher, you know, some Freeze Mages run Sludge Belcher as a little bit of safety, so I don't think Varranis is entirely sure which variant Powder's running, unless, of course, he knows Powder too well to know, you know, 9-1 he's playing.
Ooh, we're getting some Black Knight value here, which is so nice.
Oh,
Sludge Belcher, one of the most annoying cards in Hearthstone to deal with. Black Knight does that job perfectly. One of my favorite legendaries to play. Ooh, reverse Black Knight value. In fact, I believe we will see. As I speak like Yoda.
He's actually not going to go for it. He's going to pop the counterspell there instead.
I don't like it.
Yeah, that.
I don't like it.
Just kind of wastes your turn.
I don't like it. I really don't like that play. But
maybe he forgot about the counterspell. I feel like Black Knight would have been so strong there.
I feel like Black Knight would have been strong. It would have. There are other cards you want to potentially lose. I don't know that you want to use a shield block to a counterspell, since you know it's a counterspell. I think he must be okay with losing it. I don't think he forgot. Varranis must have decided he's okay with losing that because it's not going to be enough damage, but I don't like it.
Yeah, it was just a weak play overall because all he could do afterward was armor up.
Yeah.
But I suppose it does allow him to potentially shield block, shield send this turn. And Black Knight, he isn't nearly as strong now. We do see the second Sludge Belcher, though, in Powder's hand, so it will have a little bit more value in the future. No, don't play it! Don't play it on the slime! That's going to allow Powder to play an easy Sludge Belcher afterward. Oh! That's, of course, what... Oh, wait, no. So, Varranis thought maybe that was a duplicate. He went for the Black Knight on the slime to duplicate the slime, because that's pretty much the... most useless minion that you could have 2 of. Just a double Goldshire Footman. But he gives him a Black Knight, only removes a 1-2, and then we could see a Sludge Belcher coming down. Instead, he's going to go for the Water Elemental, because this Water Elemental can prevent weapon damage from swinging in from Varranis, which is one way that he might bring this board back. He's going to have to brawl without a minion on the board, so no matter what, Powder will win it, and he does... Oh wow, it's the injured Black Knight that survives. That was the best possible option outcome for Varranis.
Yeah.
They then can execute, and he brings this board back. He's still not in the greatest position, but clearing the board is so devastating against Maids, since they usually have very few ways to draw cards and refill their hand. They usually have to rely on getting super value from their secrets. He does populate the board, but he's now only got 2 cards in his hand. It will refill a bit with the Azure Drake and the Loot Hoarder. I still feel like he's so far ahead on board, but Varranis does have a couple potential comeback mechanisms.
At 14 health, he does... Well, he's going to armor up there with the shield blocks. He does still have to worry about board presence, and I think Lotheb's an interesting play because it will stop spells most spells from coming down. And with the extra shield block, he puts himself out of most potential lethal, certainly with the Lotheb now.
Right. Yeah, he's not going to be too afraid of the lethal. It is a strong minion to play down as well. He can save saves his big game hunter for potentially dealing with a Ragnaros, which we've seen in these kinds of decks. He can heal himself back up with Alexstrasza if Powder tries to push the
Gets a Mirror Entity, which will be really nice next turn, because that'll prevent his opponent from gaining board presence. Whatever he plays will get mirrored, not this next turn, but the following. So, what are you feeling right now? Do you feel like Varranis I mean, I feel like Powder's in the lead, but do you feel like Varranis... What do you think? What are the odds right now? What are you feeling at the moment?
You know, since he's already used his Brawl, there's really no way to bring this board back.
Yep.
I think that Powder's got this. He doesn't have many strong plays from his hand, but his board is just huge.
Yeah.
And what's Varranis going to do to it? He doesn't have a weapon to take care of it. He could throw out his Corcoran Elite and Cruel Taskmaster and deal with it a little bit. Oh, Fire Rorax is actually a really, really nice card here. He can now deal with 4 minions on his opponent's board using that Cruel Taskmaster as well. And so that's going to help him get back in this, definitely.
Yeah, you got to Cruel Task one of the 2/1s just because you got to start clearing minions. Yeah, I like getting rid of the one that doesn't give them a card, force them to do that. Corcoran's gonna come down, get rid of the Drake, and you gotta armor up here. So now we've got a sort of an even board. I'd say slight advantage now to Varranis. So that was a really good draw. And now though, with a Mirror Entity coming down, and a Counterspell, and a Polymorph, he can play the whole board here. Let's see what he draws. I like drawing Undertaker. I think you're gonna Hero Power and then play your 2 secrets.
Fire Rorax was such a huge draw from Varranis. That's what got him back in this. It's what allowed him to kill. It's essentially what enabled him to kill the Mana Worm. And with the second Fire Rorax, that's actually going to really keep him up on this board. He does not want to Alexstrasza though, because giving his opponent an 8/8 would just be signing his own death warrant.
Yeah, you gotta at least drop the big game hunter first. And I don't think... Are you worried? You're not worried about Archmage Antonitis, so I think you're fine. Was Archmage 6 attack? I thought he was 7.
No, it's 5. It's 5 attack, 7 health.
So it wouldn't matter anyway.
Yeah, you know, this was a really nice play to proc the Mirror Entity. One thing you are worried about that these Secrets Mages run is Ragnaros, because duplicating a Ragnaros
you're right.
basically wins you the game unless you die next turn. And so he doesn't have a way to deal with Ragnaros now, and he's not going to get it unless he draws an Execute. And Execute's not going to help him win the game.
Right.
What's nice, though, after popping this Mirror Entity, is he can play Alexstrasza on his next turn.
Gets a Flame Strike.
Ooh, Flame Strike's not going to be too great for you. I mean, now we're seeing where Mage can struggle, and it's one they run out of cards to play.
Ooh, Armor Smith. You're gonna like that in the near future, but I think you gotta Alexstrasza here. And he does.
Alex yourself, because you know that your opponent's gonna run out of damage. And that's really, really nice. Since your opponent's played so many of their big creatures, the way they're probably gonna finish you off is a couple of fireballs, maybe a Ragnaros, and so this will keep you safe from that.
Yeah. I think we're going to see... If he doesn't trade, that would be a mistake, as we can see, because there's an Armor Smith in hand, allowing additional armor, and every point of health is huge. He does play it correctly, which is nice. And I like the Undertaker. The question is the Kirin Tor Mage. He's got more secrets, but I think he's gotten the mana, so it doesn't matter. I think you play them both out.
Right.
You want to play the Kirin Tor here.
Because the weapon, you want to get the weapon charge off with the Undertaker.
Yep. You're absolutely right.
And then you save Kirin Tor. At this point, every minion needs to attack in more than once, or else you're just not going to be able to finish off your opponent.
That is... Yeah, I didn't see the weapon there. I kind of figured it had been used, but it is staring at me in the face, so...
No, you know, seeing both players' hands and trying to think for 2 players at once can definitely get a little tricky, but that's why there's 2 of us here working together. This is probably going to be the best Flame Strike he sees. It keeps the Acolyte from drawing, and he can just Kirin Tor and Flame Strike. Oh, instead goes with the other play.
Huh.
Okay, this gives him a board, and it gives him a potential bigger Flame Strike. He's maybe going big, and I think it's that was actually the right play because of this Harrison getting drawn. Now,
and his minions on the board are not threatened by any combination of the minions we see on the board already. So
this
really
Flame
smart
Strike.
play. Yep.
This Flame Strike basically seals it for Powder. There's a few really strong cards from Varranis, but none of them are strong by themselves.
Ragnaros!
Yeah. So Flame Strike to clear the board, and then you have Ragnaros to follow it up. Oh, Sylvanas is probably the perfect draw, but you can you take...
No, I don't think you can take the damage.
Oh.
Well, maybe. Oh, okay, hold on.
So I'm saying what? So if he plays Sylvana, no, he's actually just going to go for the clear with Grommash. Okay.
God, this is so back and forth. What a great game to end off our series, our best of 7. It is still 3-3, and Varranis trying to claw his way back in, then Powder trying to claw his way back in. We're going to see Rag come down. We're going to see the hit to the face, and he doesn't care what this hits, although he probably would prefer it gets rid of Grommash.
Right. That'll just help seal up the game. But of course, if it does hit the face, then he knows he just has to swing in once with his Water Elemental.
Yep.
He's likely to be able to play another minion after he gets off this duplicate.
This can get dangerous. Sylvanas getting hit can be really dangerous.
Yeah, if your opponent steals Rag with the 25% chance, then that could be big. You can't play Acolyte here because that reduces the chances of Sylvanas stealing the Rag. Well, I don't. Maybe you have to play it because it keeps your. No.
I think you want to force him to deal with Sylvanas.
So there's 50% chance of Powder winning this turn with the Hero Power and the Rag, and there's a 25% chance of it not going too poorly for Powder, and then 25% chance of the snipe happening. It doesn't happen in Powder.
There it is. GG, and Powder dethrones Varranis, taking the $25 and the best of 7 spot, guys. Congratulations to Powder. Really fun games back and forth. Rest in peace, Doomhammer. It was said, and we're gonna see if we can get a quick interview with the winner, Powder.
Yeah, that was a really, really nice series. I'm so happy that we got to see it go to 7 games. Really strong back and forth. We finally saw the museums there in the Warrior versus Paladin game. That felt so satisfying.
Yeah, so I just trying to get an interview up. That's why I've pulled Disciple off the screen.
No!
Let's see what he says. Hold on a second here, guys.
Draw cards and refill their hand. They usually have to.
Okay, alright, I'm going to try to bring Powder into this call. To the call.
Hello.
Powder.
Hey there, Powder.
What's up?
How's it going, man?
It's going pretty well.
Congratulations. You took the best of 7 series. Unfortunately, you weren't able to play DuckWingFace. So I want to just mention one quick thing before we get into that. The prize is only $25 because that's just the best of 5 prize. The way this tournament works, which we didn't get into since we didn't have a traditional DKMR, is the best of 7 prize pool grows. It starts at $75 and every week it grows $75 whenever DKMR Pro wins. And in fact, that is the second week in a row DKMR Pro has taken the best of 7. So the prize pool next week will be $225 for the best of 7. $25 for the best of 5, totaling $250 potentially for our challenger. Just now I've done a little bit of housekeeping there. Congratulations, Powder. What do you think about the game tonight, the best of 7?
I mean, I'm just glad we gave our viewers a pretty good match. Kind of unfortunate that Duckwing couldn't make it. I just heard that he didn't know that the time zone had changed only in Europe, because we have daylight savings now in Europe, while America gets it 1 week later.
Wow.
So the time's actually different than it usually is.
Well, it's good to know that it was a mix-up and not unprofessionalism, which we'd hoped. We will not have an invitational next week. The following week, we'll have either Frezar or RDU for a $250 maximum prize. Sorry that there was complications this week, guys. I did think it was a good show. They were great matches. Disciple, what were your thoughts?
I loved watching them. I thought it was so funny to see you sit on Harrison Jones for 2 games. You had it in your hand almost the entire game and never saw the Doomhammer. Although I think that in the end, Varranis was a little bit more sad he didn't get to see that at all.
I mean, I wasn't too mad about it in the Miracle game, just because it wouldn't actually have been that great.
Oh yeah. You drew your whole deck
but-
anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, in the Paladin game, all I wanted was for him to draw it, because it would have replenished my hand as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very sad that game. But I mean, it ended up fine. I won the game, so
Even though Harrison bit you in the ass in that Paladin Warrior game, that had to feel. I feel like you're not too happy with the card after.
yeah, that was a pretty big top deck. I think I would have lost anyways, just because my draws were pretty terrible and my RNG in general that game was pretty bad.
So
At
one
least,
question
at least
I
I
had.
got value out of the mind control tech.
Oh yeah, that was awesome to see. Even it did steal the worst card, but that's something I wanted to ask you about. That mind control tech. Is that it seems like Paladin typically struggles against strong early decks. Is that just against like Zoo, Shaman, Hunter, or is there like another deck that you have that in mind for?
I mean, I know Varranis very well, and Varranis doesn't like to play aggro decks. It doesn't happen very often. So, and I know he loves to play that Shaman. So that list was just to counter Shaman.
Huh.
And like you said, Mind Control tech is very good against Shaman, just because they play a lot of minions and is always going to be a get value. So that was basically it. I actually thought about teching it in a lot of decks. I was going to run it in Shaman before I realized I had to beat Handlock with it as well. I mean,
Well, you did a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, the card in general is, I think it's pretty good. It's a bit underrated in my opinion.
Yeah, and you also have a Zombie Chow in there. This Paladin specifically teched out to beat Shaman. Black Knight is good versus one of those Ferals, or maybe the Alakir. You do have a lot of stuff in here that that deals with Shaman pretty well. Harrison.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what I did. It was supposed to be good against Shaman and then good against Control in general. Losing to Warrior, which is one of the good matchups. Kind of unfortunate, but my mage ended up winning the last game, even though it's pretty unfavored.
Yeah. Do you want to talk? You both ban Hunter, which you do that because you both feel those decks are the hardest to counter or the strongest. What are your thoughts on both of you banning Hunter?
I mean, I'm pretty sure Varranis banned Warlock first, and Hunter second, because I didn't run Warlock. And with his decks, I can't see him banning Hunter as his first.
No, he banned Warlock first versus Varranis, but versus you, he banned Hunter first.
He did?
It was Hunter. Yeah, Varranis banned Hunter, Warlock, Shaman, Priest.
That's very strange. But
Why?
okay.
Why? Because you think
he has 2 or 3 decks that counter Hunter.
and nothing that counters Warlock. You're saying, huh? Interesting.
But he still has something that counters Warlock, which
Yeah.
is. I mean, I didn't run Warlock, so he didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, worked out well for him in the banning regard, but not in terms of the. I see what you're saying. That makes sense. Disciple, any other questions before we do shout-outs? Since it's sort of a short night, I'll just recap what'll happen next week, what happened last week, and what'll happen the following week when I have our next event. So do you want to ask any questions before we get to that?
I just wanted to say congratulations, Patter. It's nice to see you win. I've seen you take this quite a few times now, and that was a really nice show. I'm glad that we got to see this 7-game series.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate that I was away last week when we played the in-house for the spot, so I wasn't able to actually get a chance to defend my title, but I'm back now, so...
You're back.
I'm back.
You're back. You're in the best of 7. You're going to be defending the title, which will be growing in Season 2, and we're going to see how long you can maintain this spot and keep defending that prize pool to potentially win it.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
So,
Hopefully
any
long
shout-outs you got?
Yeah,
Powder?
I'll let Powder shout it out first. Please go for it.
Just a shout out to our team in general for being there for all the tournaments we play and helping with decks and stuff. Shout out to our sponsors, Hearth2P, Waypoint Media, and then shout out to IRTU.com, as well as I think that's it now.
All right. Shout out to D2.
Yeah, shout out to D2. Good luck tomorrow. Shout out to Faramir. Good luck tomorrow in Romania as well.
Yep. D2's on fire. He just won another tournament this last weekend, and he's going into BlizzCon with a big win. I'm really, I'm excited.
Yeah, it was very exciting to watch.
The slowest priest game in the entire world.
Yeah, we gave him a lot of criticism about that game.
More criticism than Reddit? That's the real question.
That's probably impossible, but
yeah, probably. They probably gave him constructive criticism as opposed to Reddit, which was brutal.
He won, so suck it, nerds.
Nice. Okay. All right, Disciple, you're up.
Yeah, don't have that many shout-outs to give, but shout out to everyone who watched. Shout out to the competitors today, to Powder and to Varranis and to Team DKMR for having me, to Kobayashi Maria, of course, for casting with me, and to my girlfriend, Katrine, who watches these even though she is not too big into Hearthstone herself.
Oh, that's so nice. I'm going to do my own special shout-out to my girlfriend, my love, who we are celebrating our 3-year anniversary this Halloween tomorrow. We met at Halloween 3 years ago. A really good friend of mine throws a slamming and the best Halloween party ever in Los Angeles. It's 10 or 11 years running. So much fun. It's a great group of people. Wonderful event, and I met my love there 3 years ago. So a big shout out to my love, Mallory, and a big shout out to DKMR, to all of the players, and we're going to have the sponsors as well, Hearth2P, Waypoint, iHeartU, Masterclass. We're also going to be having an event the following week, not next week. We're skipping next week for BlizzCon. The following week, we're going to have, I said it earlier, I'll try to remember who it is in a second. But yeah, we're going to have a new player, and that prize pool will be a $250 total prize pool. The player will be either Frezar or RDU, so we're trying to sort of figure out the logistics there. But it should be a good week. Thank you to Disciple, to Powder, Faramir, Varranis, all the players on DKMR, of course to D2. Good luck at BlizzCon. Yeah, thank you all for coming out, and we will see you next week. Thank you to Poach, Rokisha, all the people on DKMR who make this happen. We will see you soon. Have a good night. All the viewers, thank you for watching. 2 weeks from today, DKMR Invitational number 3. Good night, guys.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace. Alright, thank you guys.